Hi everyone, it's Holly and I am back with another video, and today I wanted to talk about going on solo trips to Disney World because in 2022 I took 2 trips by myself. These were my first trips ever by myself. I have flown to Florida once alone to then meet up with my dad who was doing a work trip in Florida, and then we did Disney together. But 2022 was the first year I ever went to Disney by myself, and I did it twice. I did it because I bought DVC and had points to use and vacation time and discretionary income. So I did. I thought I would talk a little bit about going solo because I never thought I would go to Disney solo, but I am unfortunately single, and I can't travel with my family all the time. So instead, I had to go to Florida solo. I am a pretty good loner person. Like, I'm very content most of the time to be by myself. Like in my personal life at home, I live alone with a cat. You've probably seen him. He is currently napping. Hopefully he stays napping. Disney has always been something I have done with other people. And so I didn't know what it would be like to go there by myself. I was afraid to eat alone, and I was afraid to stand in lines alone. So I originally wrote down notes, but I have no idea what I did with them. So we're just gonna fly by the seat of our pants here. I went because the people in my life couldn't go with me. And also, if I was gonna buy DVC by myself, I knew that this was most likely going to happen. So I made my first trip in June of 2022. I stayed in a tower studio at the Riviera because I do own DVC at the Riviera. I purchased that in 2021. So I planned that trip, and I was very nervous, but I decided to kind of just enjoy myself and let myself live my best life. I also rented a car for the first time. Not true, I've rented cars previously to get COVID tested while we were down there, but I made my dad drive those cars both times, and it was just for a day rental. So this time was me renting a car from the airport, driving myself to Disney World, driving around Disney property, driving myself back to the airport, going to Walmart. Woo! It was an adventure. Those vlogs should be up soon after my March 2022 vlogs are up. I really enjoyed myself. I still really like spending time with my family and going to Disney with my family, but there is also something to be said about being completely on your own and being able to do absolutely whatever you want. And even though in my family, we always say we don't all have to do everything together, I feel like we still do, and I enjoy spending time with people doing things that they like doing. I don't find that to be an inconvenience. So if I'm going to Disney and my stepmom is with us and she wants to ride Expedition Everest, I don't find it an inconvenience for me to sit outside of Everest and wait for her, because one, it's a beautiful area. The Asia part of Animal Kingdom is gorgeous, and I think it's fun to see people come down Everest, and I know she really enjoys that ride, and while I can no longer ride it because it makes me nauseous, I enjoy her enjoyment of it. So I would never want her to feel like she can't ride that because I'm not going to ride it and my dad's not going to ride it. But there is something to be said about having no constraints on you. I also have a lot of more willingness to kind of run across the parks to do different things, and sometimes you don't want to do that if you're with other people. You don't necessarily want to inconvenience them or make them walk more than they are comfortable walking, and I can do that. I can also just sit down and do nothing for 6 hours, and that's fine. The other nice thing about being alone, I did this on my December trip, is I bought Genie Plus pretty much every day. So when I went, Genie Plus was not doing the pro, actually it might have been in December, but it was just $15 every day anyways. And that is a lot easier to do when it is just you paying for it. What is my hair doing? When you're just buying it for one person. And so I made the choice to do that because I could, because it was just me. And like in June, I did that at Epcot, which honestly, Epcot, I would not recommend Genie Plus most of the time for people. But while it saved me from waiting in a line that was probably 20 minutes or 15 minutes down to like nothing, over time, and because it was only $15, that was worth it to me. And so I was able to do that. Or if I wanted, like I did in December, I waited for Frozen Ever After. Well, yes, but the Frozen ride, is that Frozen Ever After? No, I have no idea what I'm talking about. But the Frozen ride in Norway, I made the choice to wait in that line, and that was fine because it didn't bother anybody else. It didn't inconvenience anybody else. I did, when it comes to sit down dining, so that is something that I was incredibly nervous about doing by myself. I actually did a few in June. So I went in June right after Hoop-Dee-Doo was coming back. So I immediately made a Hoop-Dee-Doo reservation. And that was probably the easiest one to do by myself because obviously you have entertainment. My table was like very close to the kitchen and where the cast would sometimes come in and out of. And so I think a lot of times like maybe people felt bad for me. I don't know because I was by myself, but I was just living my best Hoop-Dee-Doo life. I'm happy to be there. But so I feel like I got some like interactions that I wouldn't have gotten maybe otherwise if I hadn't been by myself, which was nice. And then I also ate at Tutto Italia, which I had never done before. And it honestly wasn't that weird. I mean, I went at an off time. I've never looked at somebody else eating solo and thought, you're weird. But my anxiety-riddled brain, of course, thinks that other people are going to stare at me. And here's the thing. People might stare at you. People might judge you. That's on them. That's not on you. And I know that's easier to say than it is to feel, but it's true. I did, while eating alone necessarily wasn't hard, the thing I missed the most from my meal times was talking with other people. So I didn't typically do this at sit-down restaurants, but at counter service, a lot of times I would call home. So I would call my dad or I would call my mom. Sometimes I'd FaceTime my dad if I had good reception, like good Wi-Fi, because being able to share your experience and reflect on your day is one of the things I like about a shared meal. And so that I did miss. Also, I try really hard not to use my phone, one, in Florida, except for Disney related content or like Disney related stuff like the apps. And I do that in general because I try to have that be like a detox period for me whenever I go there. But especially when I'm eating, which I try to do at home as well. I try not to be on my phone all the time and just focus on the people I'm eating with or focus on myself and my food and enjoying it a little harder. But also fine. I did on my second trip, I made the choice that while I was going to still not use my phone from a like social media perspective, I did give myself permission, this is completely self-imposed, to read on my phone. So I have the Kindle app on my phone, so I was reading. I actually finished 2 books while I was in Florida and started another one in December. And I would just do that when I was in line or sometimes when I was eating. A lot of times like on the buses, that kind of thing. If it was like a line where I could really like look at stuff and enjoy myself, then I would. But I think that helped a lot with those things. So if you are considering going to Disney solo, I would say do it. I think it's fun. You can join groups. I know there are a lot of like Facebook groups and stuff, and I'm sure you can find somebody if you want to like meet up with people. I'm just not that outgoing and social, so probably never happening from me. But I'm very happy that I took those trips. I put myself outside of my comfort zone, and I just really enjoyed myself on both of my vacations. I have no solo trips planned for 2023 because I have some different travel arrangements that are coming. I'm going to try and do a Run Disney event, which I was going to do by myself, but it sounds like my parents are going to come with me, which is great. I may be going with my cousin, which would be fun. And then we have our father-daughter trip planned actually for a couple of weeks from now. And then I have a big cruise trip that's not Disney related with my aunt. That's taking up a lot of money and a lot of vacation time for 2023. But in the next year, I'm probably going to Disney with my aunt, which should be pretty exciting. So I don't know when I'll go on a solo trip again, but when it comes, I will be definitely much more comfortable doing it. And I encourage you to be more comfortable, to step out of your comfort zone and enjoy yourself and have the trip that you want for you. I know there's people who do like 1-day trips if they get really good like flight deals or if they're nearby. I don't think I could ever do that. I just don't know if I could justify the flight cost. If I could get one of those like $49 flights from Southwest, but I feel like they never fly out of Buffalo or Rochester for those. But if that happened, I would consider it. But for now, that's a no-go for me. So thank you so much for watching, and I will see you next time. Bye.